Welcome. Today we talk about, is all masculinity toxic? What is healthy masculinity? Why don't women like the nice guy? Why do they go for the bad boys? Why are women so angry? Why is everybody screaming at each other on the internet instead of having an actual conversation? So today I'm reading your comments, your DMs, your questions that you submitted, and we're going to have an actual conversation. Because I don't see any other women asking men about what hurts. Do you? Welcome. This is Magnetize Your Queen, and I'm your host, Anya. I am a men's somatic intimacy coach, and I do incredibly beautiful, gorgeous work with men to help them remember that they are already kings. And on that note, I'm going to say something super controversial. Yesterday were some of the biggest protests in the US history in the last few decades. And I didn't go because I cannot get on board with the messaging of no kings. And I made a whole little intro episode about this on my podcast. I really, really believe that it should be no little boys in positions of power, as opposed to no kings. So no, I will not be protesting kings. I'm here to give you tools to remember that you are a king, and that a king is somebody who's really beautiful, really grounded in his masculinity, in his humanity, and somebody who is also connected to his innate divinity. So welcome. I asked men on Instagram why they were so upset with women. And I got over 1,000 comments about why men were so pissed off. So today we are going to look at some of the major threads and grains of truth that men are expressing, even though they're doing it in really angry ways that project outwardly. While some of those comments are really hateful, most of them are really just expressing how hurt men are. I also include a link to a Google form at the bottom, and I've received some questions in that form. I know it's not glamorous, but I would absolutely love it if you submit your question, your comments that you don't want me to miss, in that Google form. That is the most sure way that I actually read it and address it, because on social media, things get lost really easily. And the reason why I really wanted to address these comments and these questions in the episode today is because one of the most common things that men mention on social media is that women never listen. So this is the space for me to do that, for me to listen, and to really start broaching these very uncomfortable, very painful subjects so that people of all genders who are watching this podcast can start to understand what it's like to be a man today in 2026 and what can we do to be better to each other. So here are some of the themes we're covering. Why men say they just want peace. The good men gave up narrative. Women say they want the good guy, but they go for the bad boys all the time. The nice guy trap and why you need to break out of it. What healthy masculinity looks like. And here's a hint. Nobody knows that yet. We're all figuring it out, okay? And there's an interesting question from one of my followers about his dominant-submissive relationship and whether that feeds into toxic masculinity. It's a beautiful question, so please watch to hear the answer to that. And also what I'm offering and building for men who are ready to go deeper. Okay, so let's start addressing the very common themes that men are screaming about on the internet when they talk about the kind of beef that they have with women. Number one is, I just want peace. This comment was repeated by dozens of men over and over and over again. I don't have beef with women. I just want my peace. it's like something that exists inside of our collective right now because so many men said the exact same thing. I don't have beef with women. I just really want my peace. And my previous guest in my second episode, Josh, and I talked about this a little bit. And Josh said something really beautiful, how in the current state of affairs in the world, how there's really such a desire for men to just build bunkers and to isolate. And really, truly, when you look deep inside, do you really think that that's the answer? To build a bunker and to hunker down in that bunker and to isolate yourself from women completely? If I may go esoteric about this, in Tantra and in Tibetan Buddhism, there are perceived two main energies in the universe. One is pure consciousness, that is the male element, that is the element of light, of order. And there's the female element of matter. It is the dark, it is the gooey. And the only way a universe can exist is through the unity of two. When the two are not balanced, when the light and the dark are not balanced, when the feminine and the masculine are not balanced, that spells chaos. So if we continue doing what we're doing right now, which is women saying, I am fucking done with men. Men are rapists, men are pillagers, and men saying, I'm fucking done with women. Women are hysterical, women are unreliable, women are chaotic. And if the two just keep drifting apart, that really causes the rift, not just between the genders, but in the universe in which we live. So I know it's a little too esoteric for some of you, but I truly, deeply feel it. And I want to be that bridge that helps us find the common language, that helps us have these conversations really raw, really unfiltered. And again, if you haven't watched my previous episode with my guest, Josh, I really invite you to go and watch it. Just how heartfelt a conversation between a man and a woman can be, where there's no agenda, where we just sit down and have a deep, beautiful conversation about things that matter and things that hurt. So that narrative of, I just want my peace, there is a very important part of truth to that. And that is sovereignty. And this is the foundation of all of what I do, sovereignty. And this is a relatively new concept for our collective in where we are right now. And sovereignty really means being so grounded and centered in our own authentic nature, having beautiful boundaries, which means that those boundaries are permeable to things that we want. They're permeable to love. They're permeable to affection. They are permeable to joy, pleasure, sweetness, innocence, tranquility, that we are able to receive these things. We're able to soften into them, regardless of our gender. And at the same time, we know what our no means. Again, regardless of the gender, we are able to say no to other people. And we're also able to say no to ourselves when we push ourselves, because our biggest judges, our biggest critics, the harshest, most critical voice we hear is usually our inner voice, until we really get serious about rooting out all those negative inner programmings that keep us stuck in us criticizing ourselves. So even though about a year and a half ago, I started getting really serious about taking a deep breath and noticing every time I was about to say something bad to myself or doubt myself and replacing it with something positive. There's still so many days like today and yesterday where I wake up with so much shame and realize that I carry so much internalized unworthiness because I'm not doing something productive. So I really invite you to tune into that. And in that context of sovereignty, it really means rising up with the spine straight and upright and to honor ourselves, not just when it comes to other people, when it comes to our own interaction with ourselves, like eating good food, working out to stay healthy, filtering out toxic things, not watching TV probably. I don't mean your shows. I mean like cable TV. Yeah. So it absolutely is so important for us to collectively start taking time to ourselves. That does not mean build a bunker and isolate yourself and say, I am never, ever getting around another woman again. How about just take your time to reflect on the relationships that you've had, what worked, what didn't work, what was your part in it? And here's the most important piece. What do you want? Because it's so important to have clarity on what we want, which actually brings up another interesting topic. In one of my Instagram videos, I talked about how men got really upset because, the 10% of the male population, 90% of us think that we deserve those men. And that kind of, stems from a place of we have been conditioned by the society, by our families, by the media to think like, here's this pool of shit, and only the select few get to have anything better than this. The rest of us get to choose from this pool of shit. And that's just how the world is. So if we see life as a pool of shit, how could we ever create anything that's not a pool of shit? We just keep recreating that. So you deserve, yes, you, I am talking to you right now. You deserve the most magnificent, extraordinary, beautiful, reciprocal, devotional, reverent love that knocks your fucking socks off. Now, is that going to knock your socks off every day? Or will there be some days where you feel like you're swimming in the pool of shit? And then other days when you are absolutely blasted into the stratosphere, when you're blasted into the center of the universe and you get to experience the incredible kind of unity that you never thought was possible. And that comes from being able to sit with both, with the discomfort of opening yourself to something that you have never experienced. And that is scary. And we don't get there by playing small. We don't get there by being like, yeah, you're right. Let me pick this brown turd, this darker brown turd. You're right. I'm probably never going to find anything else. We're looking right there. If we turned around, we could see that there's a whole meadow with gorgeous flowers and wild strawberries, So I invite you to really blast out of that narrow worldview where we are told that we deserve only this and that everything else is delusional. Okay, so that was a lecture on that. Let's go to the next comment. Good men gave up. I see this thread so often. I really invite you to take a few deep breaths and really try on a new paradigm if you haven't done so yet. I know that many of you watching this have been living inside of that paradigm that I'm about to explain. Again, our families, our societies, the media have programmed us to believe that love is conditional, that love needs to be earned, that love needs to be deserved, that we need to be fitting a certain mold in order to be loved. And the simplest way in which it manifests is our parents withholding love unless we do something really, really exceptional. So that really programs the nervous system that is not capable of processing that actually, from a parent to a child, love needs to be unconditional always. But very few of us received that unconditional love. That does not mean we need to be angry, although there's so much healing in expressing that anger. And please do take your opportunity to express that anger in a way that is contained and safe, where you can punch a pillow, kick a pillow, you can work with a coach or a therapist on it. That doesn't mean you go and unleash a whole lot of things on your parents because they just didn't know better. That's how they were raised. They truly didn't know any better. They were most likely doing a better job than their parents were. So a child whose nervous system is not able to process why is love being withheld, they decide that the only way they can receive love is if they're doing XYZ, if they're earning it, if they're doing something to deserve it, and that love is always conditional. So when we become grown-ups and we start our own relationships, we are recreating that dynamic. That is the only thing we know. We just recreate that dynamic. And love is conditional in our relationship. And some of the ways in which we are recreating our parents' dynamic are so subtle that it might take a very long time to unpack it. The point is, you need to bump your head enough times in enough relationships to say, I am done with this dynamic. Not, I am done with women. Here's a major shift in perspective that I really invite you into. Not, women suck, therefore I will never fucking date another woman. And instead, I was unhealed from my childhood trauma of conditional love that was withheld or probably even absent. And I'm going to take my time as a sovereign. I'm going to take a little break. And I'm really going to commit to loving myself and finding out who I am as a king, as a person. And then I'll give it another try. And when another woman comes along, which she will, that reminds you of the dynamic that you used to have, you have a choice. You know, people usually say we have such amazing chemistry. I got a news flash for you that you probably aren't going to like. That chemistry, that is trauma looping. That is your nervous system recognizing the trauma that is about to happen. Until you're healed enough, which none of us are ever fully healed, but it really takes that choice of, I see this person and I have all of this chemistry. Woo, I'm so overwhelmed. She must be my soulmate. That is probably your nervous system just recognizing something that is really, really familiar. And it's a test. Are you going to take that bait? Or are you going to sit with yourself and be like, okay, let me actually see. Does she walk the talk? What are all the signs, all of the things that I'm looking for in a partnership, are they there? Is it reciprocal? Is she responding when she says she would respond? Is she honoring my boundaries? You need to be really clear on what it is that you want in a partnership. You need to be really clear about what are your wildest, most beautiful, most amazing desires in a partnership. And that is another thing that men, I notice, have a really, really hard time with. For some reason, it is easier for women to be audacious about what women want. I don't know why. But men maybe have not been taught to speak the desires openly. Oh, so that is another trend that I see in comment section. Men saying, how dare you say what you deserve and what you desire in a man? If we said that, we'd be labeled as misogynists. So if at any point you felt a little bit of that, get really real with yourself. Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about a woman who stays home all day long and waits for you and you don't want her to work because you just want her to just be there for you, be that trad wife? And then if you're afraid that if you're going to say that out loud, people are going to call you a misogynist. I doubt that those of you watching this until this point have those kinds of desires. But if that's what a man desires, if he desires a woman who's going to be a bird with her wings clipped inside of a cage, fuck yeah, that's misogyny. That's not only misogyny, that is trying to enslave another person, regardless of gender. That is abusive, regardless of the gender. What else did you get called out? Are you speaking in hypotheticals? Because hypotheticals are as good as not real. Hypotheticals do not exist. So start getting really real and really clear about what is it that you want in a partnership. Go big. Write in your journal. Nobody's going to call you out on your own journal, but you need to get really clear about what it is that you desire in a partnership, regardless of your gender. Because if you don't know what you want, when that person comes along, you're like, we got chemistry, she's good enough. And then you get your fucking heart broken again, And you repeat that whole toxic loop of trauma, of conditional love. And then you're like, good men are done with women. Yeah. This brings us to the next theme. Women say they want good guys, but they actually cheat on the nice guy and go for the bad boys. This is a complex topic that is not easy to address in just a few words, and it's not necessarily gender specific. And again, I do want you to take a deep breath and just hang with me for a moment. The majority of the women I know have experienced some form of sexual assault, including myself. I have experienced multiple sexual assaults. Again, going back to that theme of your nervous system recognizes what is most familiar and sees it as the safest thing because it's familiar. That's how the nervous system works. Oh, this is familiar. That must be safe. Anything that's unfamiliar, anything that's new is seen as dangerous. So here comes the nice guy. We'll get into that a little deeper in a moment, so hang here. Here comes the nice guy, and this woman has been sexually assaulted multiple times. And here comes a bad boy, and her nervous system is like, the bad boy feels safer because that's what I recognize. And again, this is not specific to any gender. This can be for any gender, really. But let's get back to the nice guy. Oh, the nice guy. Whew, I want to say this without triggering anyone. I really want to say this with utmost kindness. I recently discovered a term, beta male. And I know some of you are going to get upset as soon as I say that. And this weaves into another topic of, is masculinity inherently toxic? Is there such a thing as healthy masculinity? Are alpha males toxic? And I've been seeing more and more posts about how true alpha masculinity is not toxic. The little boys, again, it's not the kings who are the alphas who lead that are toxic. It's the little boys who refuse to process their trauma and point a finger at others. Anytime anyone starts a sentence with the word you, that is a dead giveaway that that's a projection. If somebody starts a sentence with the word I, that shows you that that person has the wisdom to know that they are the ones perceiving other people. So yeah, the little boys who are saying, you did this, you are wrong, you are stupid. Those are little boys. They're incapable of separating themselves from the experience. They are incapable of seeing that they are perceiving their reality, and it's their truth. The true alpha males are leaders. They lead. They hold their power with integrity. So who are beta males? Ooh, this is triggering potential. Do I really want to get into it? Oh my. I invite you to consider, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe again, this is my projection, but I invite you to consider that the nice guy is the man who's really disconnected from his primal power. Now, don't get it twisted. A man can be connected to his primal urges, to his primal animal nature, and not go raping and pillaging, because he's an evolved person who understands that he can move all that energy, he can embody all of that beautiful, sensual, primal energy in his body. And he doesn't have to go rape and pillage, because that energy fills him from the inside with leadership, with integrity, with passion, with desire to change things for the better, with the desire to build, with creativity, with the desire to protect. And that is a true king, and that is a true alpha male. Speaking of which, I have this really gorgeous practice that's called Primal Power. It is on my website. If you go to anyazelinska.com/primal-power, there's a link below. So it's ANYAZELINSKA/primal-power. It is a really, really beautiful Taoist practice that really helps masculine-bodied people really connect to that primal power and to move that primal power in a very healthy, beautiful way through the body, while also finding really deep love for yourself. So if you're looking for ways to embody healthy masculinity, if you're looking for ways to stop playing the nice guy and connect to your alpha, if you're looking for ways to break out of a box and to really start to embody your beautiful king nature, that is the most beautiful practice to start. I really encourage you to give it a try, and I would love to hear from you what you think. Yeah. So back to the nice guy. There's another element to this. That's called people pleasing. And people pleasing essentially is a manipulation tactic. And I don't want you to feel guilty about it. If you've referred to yourself as the nice guy, or if people say about you, oh, he's so nice. And again, this is not gendered. You know, I'm from Ukraine. And if you've ever interacted with a person from Eastern Europe, we're very direct. You might be a little hurt, but I would say if you want somebody's honest opinion, go to a Slavic person. They're the ones who will tell you the truth. Now, the American culture, for a very long time, has really rewarded nice. And to me, the word nice is just so fucking vapid. It is so empty. It is like an American diet, you know? And okay, I've lived in the United States for 16 years. I have an American passport. My child is an American-born child. So I'm not saying this to shit on the American culture, because the Eastern European culture can be too harsh. Like, ouch, too fucking harsh. Did you need to be that unkind? There needs to be a balance somewhere in the middle. But this American emphasis on nice, that is just, honestly, it's like the American diet. It's like this processed, sugary stuff that's empty calories. There are no nutrients in it. There are no vitamins. There are no minerals. There's nothing healthy about it. There's nothing in there that will nourish your body. And on top of that, there's chemicals in there that will make you sick. And in the case of the person being nice, it'll actually make the person themselves sick, because that person is constantly chasing validation. And I've been stuck in that trap at various points in my life too. A few years ago, I started noticing how people were just like, whoa, she's too harsh. And I made a commitment to keep my fucking mouth shut. And I made a commitment to really bite my tongue. And when somebody says something I disagree with, to bite my tongue and be like, oh, haha, okay. And I did that for a few years. And I got so ill, I thought I was gonna die, because I was swallowing my truth all the time in order to people please others, in order to make others feel comfortable. And that is icing on a shit cake. So the nice guy, the nice girl, the nice lady, the nice person, is it icing on a shit cake? So specifically, when it comes to the nice guy, women can smell bullshit. We are so connected to our intuition, and you know this. You know this. Your ex texted you, you come home, your girlfriend, your partner, she smells it on you. You didn't even respond to your ex. You walk into the house, your woman fucking smells it on you. So when you're the nice guy and you're really committed to playing out that role of a nice guy, your woman smells the bullshit on you. She knows that deep down you are suppressing the rage, the anger, the sadness, the grief, all the stuff that has not been expressed because you were taught as a man that emotions are bad. And that's a perfect segue into another common thread. I get these comments, really angry comments from men all the time. Women are too emotional. Women are chaotic. Women are unhinged. Women do not have more emotions than men. Women don't have more emotions than men. Emotions are inherent in a human existence. Yes, women process emotions very differently. Women process emotions a little faster. Men feel all the same emotions that women do, but men have been taught to stuff them down. I really want to invite you to take a few moments here and to reflect on that. Did your family of origin, did the society in which you grew up, did it teach you to not express your emotions? Boys don't cry. Man up. You're acting like a girl. How many of you heard this? And if you think that I am completely wrong, that is totally fine. Let me know in the comments. Be like, with all respect, I think you're wrong. Again, there's that link for the Google form. Write in there. You can write me an essay. Be like, you're wrong. I don't think you're right. Because I really want this to be a two-way street, a two-way conversation. So right now, I'm not trying to tell you like, oh, you're wrong about everything you've known, and let me tell you how it is, even though I do realize that I speak about it a little righteously right now. And let me take a few breaths and get off my high horse, because I'm a human too. And I reserve the right to be wrong. And I'm wrong a lot, just like everybody else. And I have really incredible pattern recognition. And I see thousands of comments that angry men inundate me with on the internet. And instead of being like, you're a fucking troll and you're a fucking troll and fuck you, I actually sit down and read those comments. And I catch a lot of shit from people that I know about it too. People that I know try to convince me that I have poor boundaries and I should just stop responding to the trolls. I should just ban all of them. And again, most of those men are angry because nobody's listening. Yeah. So I'm here to listen. So even though it just seems like I spewed so much at you, like, this is how it is, I do want to hear from you. Does this resonate? How does it resonate? What does it bring up for you? And then I have about 10 more pages of stuff that I wanted to talk about. But I am going out in 10 minutes with real people. I've been in really deep creative space and I've isolated for a very long time. So I'm going out. So I'm going to land this airplane and address the rest of the stuff in a next episode. So please let me know what you want to hear more about. Like, I really, really, really want to know what you want to hear more about. Okay, I do want to answer the question about the dominant submissive relationship. Thank you, brother, for submitting your comment. I'm just going to read a quote. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and from day one, she wanted to be in the submissive role. My question is this: when does our dynamic step into the toxic masculinity camp? Brother, thank you so much for such vulnerability with which you wrote that question. You gave me more details in that for context too, which I really do appreciate. And I want you to know that, first of all, you asking the question, am I approaching toxic masculinity territory? That already speaks volumes about who you are as a person, how evolved you are as a person, how committed you are to your relationship, and also to making sure that you have a healthy partnership. And from those details that you wrote to me, I didn't hear anything toxic. I know a lot of people in the same realm in which I work, the somatic intimacy coaches, people who are really, really committed to doing deep healing work, who work with kink. And kink is such a powerful way to heal our relationships with each other. So I actually have 2 episodes that are going to come out about this. I sat down with my dominatrix friend, Goddess Gwendolyn, and we talked about how healing kink is. And she's a dominatrix, so it's the reverse dynamic. And also, I recently watched a podcast episode with my peer, my sister Karina. Her podcast is called Healing with Kink. And she had Taylor Johnson on her episode. Look it up. It's on all the platforms. And they had such a beautiful conversation about male domination that was just so gorgeous and so healing. And wow, it just blew me away. And I've heard other men talk about male dominance too, but the way that Taylor, who works with sexual healing and he works with men, and the way he talked about it was just so gorgeous. How there is that innate desire in the feminine energy, and maybe not everybody feels that way, but the majority of the women I know, and it just seems like there is that innate desire for the women to be held by a strong, healthy, beautiful, masculine who is a leader, again, who is the alpha, who says, I am here. I got you. I got you. Maybe I don't need to do I don't need to spank you. I don't need to choke you. I don't need to use whips or tie you down. The most gorgeous male domination, and I mean, it's not a great word, but those are the words that we have. But the most gorgeous thing to experience for a woman can be to be held by a man who is embodied in his healthy masculinity, who is just holding her and saying, I got you. That's it. I got you. You can fall apart. You can fall apart from all of the weight that you're carrying on your shoulders. And then some spanking can help too. Who doesn't love a good spanking? Yeah. So with that, I do need to finish because my friends are waiting for me on a patio and there's a beautiful, gorgeous sunset right now. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I invited you into my bedroom today. So usually I film my podcast in my living room, but today I was like, we're going to get fucking intimate. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to get raw. We're going to get real. So thank you for being in my innermost sanctum of my house, in my lair, in my bedroom. Thank you for not being a pig in my bedroom. Let's see, what else do I need to say? Oh, a brother wrote to me, I can't explain it, but I am drawn to the energy of you. I'm a fan. Brother, I want to tell you something really beautiful. I am a mirror of you. So the fact that you are recognizing something really beautiful in me, that is you recognizing something really beautiful in yourself. So to anybody who's still watching, who didn't get all scared and ran away from a woman who got a little louder, thank you. Thank you. Really, really, from the most primordial depth of my heart, the reason why I do this, the reason why I bought all of this super expensive equipment and sat down here on a Sunday night and recorded this episode is for you and for myself as well. I truly, really believe that we can only heal through each other, through mirroring through each other, through being in communion with each other and being open to hearing the perspective of another person. So that's why, again, please, please do drop me a comment. Please tell me what resonated, what didn't resonate. Where was I blowing it out my ass? I can speak through this vessel of this podcast to men and all genders. How can we create a beautiful new world for ourselves when the old world is falling apart? So we got to build something new, right? So please hit subscribe. Please leave a comment. Go check out that primal power practice. I guarantee you, if you actually do it, you will see results that will blow you away. It is so powerful. And I am working on an online course called Awaken the King Within. It's going to be a month-long self-guided course. And that course is really meant to be from the healing perspective of a woman saying, I believe in you. I know you are that king who is ready to awaken. You just forgot. That course is not meant to fix you, to make you do this better or that better. That course is for you to remember that the king is within, and I'm that priestess. I'm that healer who walks with you and helps you remember. And if you're ready to do the deepest level of work with me, I have a really gorgeous coaching container that's one-on-one, 10 sessions. I hold a very, very powerful, very deep, very healing container. I'm there to witness you in your transformation. So the details are on my website, anyazelinska.com. Also, my first guest, Josh, and we are hosting all gender online circles. So the first one is coming up April 11th, 2026. So if you are watching this before April 11th, go to the website. It's on the events tab. The link is also below. I know that so many of us feel so fucking isolated. It's going to be beautiful. Josh is a sound healer. It's going to be incredible. And last but not least, my next guest episode is going to be with an incredible man named Nicholas. He is my friend. He is 27 years old. He's a black man, and we have this very raw conversation about what is it like to be a black man raised by a single mother? What is it like to be a slightly more feminine man or connected to his femininity? What is it like to be a young man growing up right now where he grew up with social media? It is so beautiful to hear a perspective of a young black man about toxic masculinity, healthy masculinity, and relationships. So please subscribe so you can get that episode in 2 weeks when it comes out. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Truly, truly, truly. I'm really grateful. Again, my name is Anya. I'm on Instagram as Love Priestess Anya. And I will see you around, dear lion-hearted light warrior. Thank you.